Hello everyone and welcome back to Naomi's Bookshelf. I am going to be filming my wrap up right now. It's a little crazy. I'm sorry if it's loud upstairs, if you can hear. We have a very full house right now and we're all together. Self-isolation is fun. It's been fun, but it's also been fun to film too at the same time. So anyways, monthly wrap up. So this is where I officially am out of my slump. Well, I guess February was that month too. But I have read 21 books in month of March. Very proud of myself, very happy with that. And most of them were mood reads. Well, that's not even true. Most of the books I did plan to read, but I had enough of variety that I didn't get bored. I did not get to some of the books I really wanted to and were like top priority. But such is life. I'm halfway through Nine Perfect Strangers by Leanne Moriarty, and I literally just got hooked. It took me a good 5 days to get into this book, and I'm not even totally invested. So I'm gonna finish it, but it's just not my favorite, to say the least. Anyways, so we're just gonna go into the ones I have read. Now, as moving time, my bookshelves are disarray. I don't know where half my books in this world are. So we're just gonna show pictures again. I feel like I say that every time. I'm sorry. I do own most of these books. Well, maybe not most of them, because I did get a lot from the library. We're just gonna jump into it. So I did previously post a part 1 of my wrap up in which I talk about 10 of the books that I read at that point. So I will link that down below and in the cards if you would like to check that out so you can hear my thoughts on the other 10. I will just briefly mention their names right now and then you can go find them in the other video if you would like to hear my thoughts on them. So the books that I had read in that video and reviewed were Kindness and Wonder by Gavin Edwards, Sweetness at the Bottom of the Pie by Alan Bradley, The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgins Burnett, sorry, The Job by Janet Ivanovich and Lee Goldberg, The Eight Cousins by Louisa May Alcott, Illuminae by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman, As You Like It by William Shakespeare, Hope by Amanda Berry and Gina D'Souza, Battle of the Labyrinth by Rick Riordan, These Happy Golden Years by Laura Ingalls Wilder. It's quite a list, but that is all in my other video if you want to check out any of my thoughts on any of those. It wasn't a bad month in regards to reading. Most of my books, all of my books got a 3-star or more. It just depends on how much I loved them. So we're gonna get into the first book that I read since I filmed that video, and I'm just gonna do the first book being a bunch of books because they all kind of joined together. And by saying that they all joined together, I mean that they are all from the same series, and I still can't talk about it because I read the next 5 books in the O'Hare and Fox series, it's probably Fox and O'Hare. I keep mixing it up. But I read the next 5. So in the month of March, I read 6 books in that series. That's a lot from a series. And I have already started book 7 or whatever that would be, the Big Kahuna, which is for my April TBR. I'm addicted to the series, to say the least. The first thing that I want to mention about this series, because I'm just going to join my whole review, I really enjoyed all of the full-length novels. The 3 that I read that were novellas, there were 3 of them. One of them was like 8 pages long, one of them was 30 pages long, another one was 25 pages. I enjoyed them all decently, but I'm not a short story person, so I think I gave them collectively 3 stars. I think I might have given the first one, called The Shell Game, a 4-star. That was a really great introduction to Kate and Nick. I really loved it. So yeah, this series is so much fun. I talked about the scam in last month's wrap-up, my mid-month wrap-up. So you can just go over there and check it out if you would like to hear my thoughts on the series, but I love it. I can't speak enough about it, even though I can't say any words about it because I wouldn't want to spoil it for anyone. But let me just tell you this, I love it. And I would like to do a series review when the final one comes out, whenever that is, because I am really, really enjoying this series. So now we're gonna move on to the next one. The next one that I read was The Red Notice by Bill Browder. And this is a nonfiction true crime about law in Russia. It takes place in 2000s. I want to say 1990s to 2000s. And it follows Bill. A lot of it is about his career and how he starts up as working with money. He becomes a capitalist in Russia. He's a big investor. He's a big time, like, multi-million dollar level investing. And kind of the world collapses around him. One of his friends does end up being murdered, and it takes him on this quest to fight for human rights. It was such a important book, not easy topic. So yeah, I don't know if I want to say enjoyed it, because it wasn't an easy read, but it was a book that I found very important and very shocking in some places, but also not shocking at the same time. It really follows a lot of Russia and how it is a communist country and how the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, and there's no way to stop the rich or stop those in power who don't want to cooperate. So yeah, it was an important book, but not an easy read. I do recommend it though if you are interested in like the finances of that thing, or the true crime and, you know, human rights and all that. It's really powerful. Highly recommend, with sensitivity warnings. The next one that I read was The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. I have posted a review of this. It was one of my timeless tomes, so one of the big books that I read, and I enjoyed it. It was just a slow-paced book. I'll link it down below also, or I'll link it in the cards if you want to go check out what I thought of it. It's not too long of a video, as I didn't have overly too much to say, but it did feel like a setup novel, and I am excited to continue into The Two Towers based on the setup that this book created. The next book that I read was A Murder is Announced by Agatha Christie. This was my Agatha Christie book of the month. I enjoyed it. I have filmed a review of the first 3 Agatha Christie books that I've read this year. So that will be up shortly in this month. It'll show up sometime. But basically it was a really interesting murder mystery about, in this town, a newspaper suddenly gets published, and, well, it's not like it's published, a newspaper is published, and an ad in that is that there's going to be a murder at like 6 o'clock, I think the time was, at this certain house. And so people show up. It's a little intriguing. Everyone's kind of curious what the murder's going to be, if it's a game or not. And then someone dies. Miss Marple comes in, and it's a lot of fun. I didn't love it. I felt like a lot of racism in it, and I don't know if that's just Agatha Christie writing a really well done racist person, or if that's her thoughts coming through. I don't know. It was a lot about refugees, the racism, and I just didn't appreciate it. So I'm giving that a 4 out of 5 stars, but I did really enjoy the mystery element, and the different plot twists were really great. I thought of them, but I didn't really fully get the whole mystery. So the next one that I read was The Favorite Daughter by Kara Rhoda, I want to say is her name. And this one follows an unreliable narrator, which you find out right from the get-go. So it's not a plot twist that she's unreliable. But she is a mother to a daughter who has recently passed away 1 year ago exactly. This book follows, I think, a week. It was like a 5-day, 7-day timeline that this followed. It does go back a bit, and you rehash what happened with the first daughter, the one who passed away a year in advance before this book starts. And it follows her, so this woman, her husband, and then her daughter, who is still alive, and they're grieving and what's going on in their lives 1 year after the death of their oldest daughter, Mary, I want to say is her name. I read a lot of books, so the names are getting a little muddied, but it was good. I really did enjoy it. It kept me engaged. It was very fast-paced, and I thought it was a real winner. I definitely enjoyed the levels, and I got it in advance, but I didn't mind that I got it in advance, because I was like, that was good. And I definitely enjoyed the unreliable narrator that you know is unreliable from the beginning, essentially. She makes these comments throughout the book, which is just, it's interesting because it's first person, and she's an interesting character. So she's not someone you would not want to be related to, ever. So yeah, highly recommend. Thought it was a good one. I think I gave it 4 stars. Next was Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I listened to this on audio, loved it. I listened to the Jim Dale versions. I know that people are madly, Jim Dale versus Stephen Fry. I don't care. It's a good audiobook. But yeah, really enjoyed it. I liked it more this time than I did last time. So I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars instead of, not a 4 out of 5 stars, a 5 out of 5 stars instead of 4 out of 5 stars. And I just really enjoyed that. I'm enjoying my reread of it. So it's been a good thing to go through. So the last book that I want to talk about in this is Silent Shadows by Natalie Walters. I got an e-copy of this from NetGalley, so that was awesome to get, but I also managed to get my hands on a physical copy before it was published from my local bookstore. So it was a lot of fun to read it. I have also filmed a review of that. That will be up on Sunday, so keep your eyes peeled for the series review of that. I really enjoyed the series. It was a perfect tie-in to the end. It follows Pekka and Colton as they are dealing with some strange going-ons in town. Pekka works as a nurse at a rehabilitation home for Army or military in general. So like Navy, military, Army, Marines, different things like that. Different areas of the military. So she is a nurse there and she's like a physical therapist, I think, or physiotherapist. And then Colton is an Army captain who has just been, basically he's just been discharged and his arm won't stop moving on its own. It's like, his arm has a brain of its own essentially. So it's a nice romantic aspect, but it's also very suspenseful as some things from Pekka's previous adventures in life are coming back to haunt her. And it's just an interesting book. I really, really enjoyed it and I gave it 5 stars. And I hope you check out the series. It comes out, the book just came out on the 31st. So please go check it out. It was great. And I would just like to say, please buy local if you can, because we need to support local businesses right now. So that is all that I want to talk about for books-wise, what I read. I will be talking about my stats now. So if you are done with this, thank you for watching. We're just going to get into some nerdy stats because I really like to keep track of those things. So the first thing is the amount of pages that I read this month. I read 6,267 pages this month. Now when I say that, actually I just want to also say almost all these books I started, aside from one, I started all of them in March, which is pretty good too. But I always count the pages at the end of like when I finished reading it. So books that I've started in March, I will count towards April's book total, which I know doesn't always work out, but it's a little too picky for me. So we're just gonna go with this. So 6,267 pages I read in the month of March, which is pretty impressive. I am very happy with that. I just flew through mysteries this month and that was awesome for March Mystery Madness. Also for middle grade March, but I read most of those at the beginning of the month because I just flew through them too. So to total it all up so far for the year, I have read 13,245 pages, which is a lot so far this month, and it's been pretty good for a month, a daily total, like an average. I can't remember what the number is, but I can pop it up here. But yeah, I've been enjoying my reading now. Apparently spring is bringing back the reading for me. Now we're going to go into the other stats, so the amount of stars that I gave out, the amount of genres that I read, and where I got these books, and so on. So the first thing is the amount of stars that I handed out to these books. So I gave out 5 3 stars, 9 4 stars, and 7 5 stars. So it was a very good month. Most of them were perfection or close to it, and only a few were middle of the road. In regards to where I got these books from, I got 13 from the library. I had bought 6 before 2020, and I had bought 1 in 2020, and then I also read 1 arc, which I was hoping to have more of those done, but it just didn't work out. So in regards to the genres, I read 2 nonfiction, 10 mysteries, which was an awesome total, but mostly contributed to by the fact that I read almost all of the O'Hare and Fox series. I read 1 science fiction, 3 historical fiction, 1 romance, which could have been a comedy. It's Shakespeare play, so I went with romance, 1 true crime, and 3 fantasy. I don't know how that happened, but it did, and I enjoyed them, but it was just, I was surprised to see that number. be a total of 3 books so far this month. And the last stat is the age group that I read for. I read 5 for middle grade, which I felt like it was a good total. I read 1 YA, which was Illuminae, which I didn't expect to enjoy this month so well. And then I also read 15 adult books as per normal. That was the majority of the books that I read. So yeah, those are the, sorry, my computer's here with all my stats. Those are all my stats. Those are all the books that I read. Please check out my other video if you want to know my thoughts on those. It was a great reading month, and I'm glad to be kicking off spring with this nice upward turn. Stay safe, everyone. Let me know down in the comments what you have been reading, if you're doing any, if you did any of the readathons, and if you're going to do any in April. I would also love to hear from you about any of these books, because I love talking about all of these books. I think almost all of them were amazing. So please let me know down below what you thought of any of these books, or if you had a new favorite you found. So thank you again. Like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you'd like to. And I will see you all on Sunday with my review. Bye for now.